We're all very thankful that you came here for this occasion. We have the hardest working U.S. Senator in the United States here today to help us fight to keep our Postal Service in Bridgeport. We are the largest city in the state. We're rapidly growing. We've grown for the first time in 60 years, and our reward for our growth should not be to have the federal government cut back postal services to a community that needs it. I'm joined here by many local elected officials who will be saying a few words, but it's my privilege to introduce Senator Richard Blumenthal, who is working so hard to make sure that we can keep this post office open for the hardworking men and women of the city of Bridgeport. Senator Blumenthal, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Finch. Thank you, Mayor Finch, for your leadership on this issue and on so many others that are vital to the city of Bridgeport. And I want to tell you how much I admire and respect your advocacy on this issue. You know, we're here to send a message to the Post Office of the United States. You're in for a fight. We are going to fight the Post Office. There will be an outpouring and an uproar of community opposition to shutting a post office that is vital to jobs and economic growth in the city of Bridgeport and the state of Connecticut. Small businesses depend on it. The community needs it. It makes money. Do what's in your own best interest and keep this post office open. You cannot close it without injuring not only the neighborhood, but also job creation and economic growth, because all of these small businesses in this area, as well as the neighborhood, walk here, drive here to deliver packages, to buy stamps, to do money orders. It is an economic hub that should not be abandoned. And consistently, it makes close to $500,000 a year in revenue. So please, to the post office, heed this message, because the community will be out there at the meetings and the hearings, and we urge the post office to have those meetings in places that are accessible to this community. Let me just say one last word. You know, Bridgeport is a great city, and it deserves this post office. This state ought to heed the economic welfare and well-being of Bridgeport, and the federal government should as well. To the Post Office of the United States, respect Bridgeport and make sure that we have a post office at this site on Fairfield Avenue, that East Main Street is preserved as well, that we make sure that the fastest growing, biggest city in the state of Connecticut gets what it deserves. Bridgeport needs and deserves this post office.
Thank you.
And I want to introduce another senator, State Senator Anthony Musto, and then I'll let anyone who wants to say a few words. We're very, very fortunate to have a great group here, our state representatives, our local leaders. What we have here is a very powerful coalition. This coalition will defeat any efforts to close this post office, as well as others in the city of Bridgeport that are vital to economic growth and job creation, because small businesses and communities depend on it. So thank you, and Senator Musto.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you very much. It's great to have you come down and support us here in Bridgeport. We do need the help. If we want to have cities that are walkable, if we want to have cities where people live instead of just surviving, instead of just existing, we need places like this post office here. You look around this neighborhood, you've got homes right here, you've got a new business opening right there, you've got other businesses up and down the street that have been here for years, and other ones that are coming in. This place is thriving. The whole city is growing, and 2 post offices on the list for closure in this city alone, the biggest city in the state. It's just unacceptable. And I'd just like to, again, thank Senator Blumenthal for all his help. It's really he who's brought the attention to this issue as a senator, and so soon after he was elected too, to keep, not just forget about us and go to Washington, but to really help us out. And I would yield now to the, to the chairman of our delegation here in Bridgeport, the state delegation, You know, he's been certainly leading us in the right direction here in Bridgeport, making sure that we're watching out for the interests of the people of the city. So, Representative Ayala, if you would please step in.
Good afternoon, everyone. I also want to recognize we have Representative Charlie Stallworth, who's here as well.
Our newest member.
Our newest member of the delegation. I know that members from the City Council will be speaking later on, and I'll let the Council President introduce them. But we're here to support the efforts of Senator Blumenthal. This is extremely important that we do so. The mayor indicated the fact that we've seen a population burst in the city. We have additional folks. Before we were at 139,000, we're now at 144,000. Just by looking and analyzing at what's going on here, the number of traffic, the number of cars going back and forth on Fairfield Avenue, the walking traffic is tremendous. This post office needs to stay open. It's extremely important. It's vital to the community that it remain in that case. Several years back, we fought alongside Congressman Himes to ensure that our East Main Street branch remained open. And we want to make sure that they all stay open. The city of Bridgeport needs these services. The services are being used. It's not like their folks are not coming in. So it's important that we start this fight. I'm glad that we have started it early enough to ensure that we get participation from all members of the community so that we can be at the public hearings and let the federal government know that this post office and any other in the city of Bridgeport cannot be shut down. Thank you.
Great. I think we should hear from our council president, Tom McCarthy, to introduce the other councilmen who represent the district and talk about the economic impact that this would have disproportionately to Bridgeport than other communities where they may be able to save funds.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. I'm Tom McCarthy. I'm the City Council President. I'm here with Councilwoman Sue Brantley, Councilman Marty McCarthy, who represent the Black Rock area, the 130th District that we're in right now. And as the Mayor said, the Mayor is right. The post offices in an inner city type place like Bridgeport are economic generators. In a community like this, where you look around, over the last few years, you have had major development that has caused a need to have a post office here. It's not like we're asking as a community for something that is not needed or not necessary or not mandated. It's something that is necessary because 10 years ago, you wouldn't have seen a Stop and Shop over to the right. You wouldn't have seen a People's Bank. You wouldn't have seen the new restaurants over here. You wouldn't have seen the development that has been going on in this area. And part and parcel of that development is what the community hub is, which is a post office. A post office brings the community together. It gives a place of service, but it also gives a place of focal point for the neighborhood. It gives you a place that is well maintained, builds up the businesses around it, and helps the community deliver its services. In this community here, it's essential that we have a post office. The city of Bridgeport already has taken the knife from the post office. A few years ago, we lost a number of post offices, including in my neighborhood in the North End. Never were replaced. If you look around, we already have less post offices per person than the surrounding communities. That's not right. We are a community that is building, that is growing, that is becoming a bigger and better place. And for the people who represent the local area here, we can tell you that this is a thriving post office. This is a post office that works. This is not one that deserves to be cut. This is one that actually should be built upon because it is better for the neighborhood, it's better for the Postal Service. So we want to make something very clear. The City Council, the City of Bridgeport, says very clearly that this post office is necessary and shouldn't be closed. Thank you.
We'll be willing to have questions of the senator and anyone else in a second, but one other point I'd just like to implore the federal government, when they're making these cuts, don't cut an area where there's a digital divide. Don't cut an area where people rely on regular postal service more heavily than they do on email. Don't cut an area that this will have a disproportionate economic impact on. This is walkable. This is a green post office. This is a new urbanist area. This is not an area out far flung in the hinterlands or in the suburbs. This is an area that the president has already made a profound statement that sustainable communities like Bridgeport need to grow and get more resources. If you cut this postal service, we'll be taking a big step backwards. Many people walk here. 40% of our public depend on transit and walking and not motor vehicles. So you can't cut a green post office. Cut some other post office. We understand they have to cut services somewhere, but do not cut an inner city postal service where people walk to it and which is a terrific green alternative. Senator, you want to end up?
Yeah, I want to introduce for some final remarks, and then I'll wrap it up, Shanti Hanks, who is here on behalf of Congressman Himes. Congressman Himes has been very steadfast and energetic in this fight, and I was with him just over the weekend, and I want to make sure that he's given a chance, that Shanti is given a chance to say.
Hi, I'm Shanti Hanks. Thank you. I'm representing Congressman Himes here today, and I just want to echo what you've heard from Senator Blumenthal, Mayor Finch, and the other members of the Bridgeport delegation, how important it is to keep this post office open. As a native of Bridgeport, I can say that the post office is a hub. It's in the center of the community. You have these new businesses, and we have new development with Southwest Community Health Center, as well as Bridgeport Housing Department, and behind us is PT Barnum Apartments. So you're in not only a business area, but a residential area where people, they can walk to the post office, and they may not have access to cars or afford public transportation. So it's important that we keep these post offices here in the residential neighborhoods where people can walk to them open. And again, as a Bridgeport native, I just want to say that I am in full support, and so is Congressman Himes. Just 2 years ago, he fought to keep this very location, as well as the location as Representative Ayala mentioned on the east side, open. So I just want to say that you have his full support, and thank you.
Well, thank you, Shanti. Thank you. Again, I really want to thank the leadership of Bridgeport. Your leadership is going to be critical. This fight is about the future of Bridgeport, our largest, fastest growing city in the state, which needs this post office to create jobs and sustain economic development. And the outpouring of community that we've seen today, this coalition, will help us beat back this effort to close the post office. And thank you all for being here today. It really means a lot.